council to order. We stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Long,
Here.
Councilman Craig,
Present.
Dr. Carpenter,
Present.
Councilman Showalter,
Present.
President Suchovich,
Present.
Mayor, I lost your name, Recupero. That's a sad statement.
Present.
Councilman Pluta.
Here.
Councilwoman Provenza.
Present.
Sorry about that. Long day.
Under emergency additional agenda items. I'd like to get a motion from somebody to make a motion to add the motion to the advertising of the budget under the discussion items.
That motion.
First by Mr. Craig,
Second.
second by Mr. Long. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Asked. Thank you. Next, we're gonna go to registered comments from the public. We have one, and that would be the Verona newsletter volunteers referring to the 2023 budget. And this is.
Angela.
No.
Turn it on.
Angela Capini, 521 Center Avenue.
Don Wharf, 63636 Third Avenue.
We just wanted to make sure that you got the email that Donald sent out on Sunday night. Pretty detailed email. And then I followed up with one last night also to let you guys know that the newsletter will have a proofreader moving forward, so you can proofread our ads a little bit more clearly. And we had also asked for another year of support. I brought in just a very quick or a brief financial statement here so everybody can understand how much money. I know that the borough paid out for January, April, June, and September's newsletter, $9,157.74. And the Verona newsletter paid to the borough $6,039.78. And today we just added another $1,000 check. So if you do the math and you subtract what we gave the borough and what they paid out for Rogers and DeTurk bill, we are into the borough right now for $2,117.96. So the way we were doing is that we were writing, Rogers and DeTurk would send us a bill, they would send the borough a bill, and then it would get paid by the borough because they were quicker, they had the money available, and then we would reimburse the borough as we collected money from the ads, we would come down and give checks. So financially, right now, we have used $2,117.96 this year thus far.
Can you repeat those numbers?
Yeah. So the Rogers and DeTurk bill for the total for this year current is $9,157.74. What has already been paid to the borough was $6,039.78. And then we just gave you $1,000 check. So you have to add that to the $6,039.78. I know she's off 1,000, she said. I got it all. I mean,
Yeah,
I've got,
yeah, she's off.
she's off 1,000. She does the math again. She'll probably see. I did mine 3 or 4 times just to make sure that I was correct.
I'll have her check it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why.
yeah. I talked to her
Sorry
earlier.
about that.
So I just wanted to give you an idea, like, we're not like super dependent on the borough, but we still do need that backup. We're not always gonna have like a huge amount of advertisers in one issue. So we need that little bit of a cushion. But as it was stated in the email, that I believe moving forward this year that we'll be able to do a lot of things once we get our mailings. It's a long permit process to get our mailings discounted from the post office. But once we get to that point, we could cut our newsletter back so it doesn't have to go into the Penn Hills section and just stay strictly in Verona. Right now, we don't have that option because they have to, if it's hitting 3 streets in Verona, it's got to hit 3 streets in Penn Hills, and they won't separate it for us. So, but once we get through our permit process with the post office, we can really skim that down, cut back, And I think in 2024, we should be very self-sufficient. But we just don't want to see the newsletter go away. There's so many people that rely on that paper, you know, to have that in their hand and just to get the word out for events. I think it's crucial to the borough to continue with it. So. Okay,
Angela, I don't think anybody wants a newsletter to go away. I think
No.
everybody relies on it.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there might be ways, maybe. I don't know what your advertising fees are. Maybe you might have to raise them a little bit too. You know,
Yeah, it was talked about raising it, but you know, we've kept these fees like this for many, many years. And I think that is one of the main reasons that we continue to have advertisers that have been with us from the beginning. And I don't really want to go up if we don't have to. But I think that the key is to be able to get our permit from the post office, then we can be able to cut our mailings back to only strictly Verona.
yeah, I know people up on Seventh Street that,
Yeah.
Seventh and Eighth Street.
Yeah, we want to just limit it strictly to Verona, and that would really cut back, on, you have, I mean, it's very expensive to print them. That's the main thing. It's very expensive. The printing costs have gone up dramatically. So,
Can you foresee how many less newsletters you would print then?
so what are we at now, Donald?
I think we're at 2,200, 2,200.
We could probably cut it in
And-
half.
I'm gonna guess that if it goes into Penn Hills, it's probably a good half of that number.
Yeah,
If you look at the radius of coverage. So I'm gonna guess that we could probably cut that distribution in half.
So you could print half as.
Yeah.
Plus a few extra.
and we
for-
have we have enough advertisers that we would be able to cover it. At that point, we would be able to cover all the bills. I mean, for many years, I just want to remind you, we have never touched the money that was allotted to the newsletter. It just, with this COVID, things have changed. People aren't really, we lost some big advertisers. So, and I understand that, but it put a little bit of a strain on us. That's why we had to have that little bit of money last year from, you know, the borough, but just, you know, I just foresee that like, if we can just get through one more year, that we should really be self-sufficient. So,
Question, they must have changed that because when I had done it, it just went to the homes in Verona. Not
Yeah.
Penn Hills.
well, the post office, they do what it's called every EDD, every door direct mailing, EDDM. And this was when Julie Steinhaus and Bob Steinhaus was running it. This is where I learned this. They will not go, if it hits, like, I think the one problem was Ridge. People on Ridge weren't getting it, but if we got Ridge in there, then we'd have to go all the way up Holton Road or something like that, or something, I don't know what Holton, but what's that other road? Hunter Road, yeah. So if we wanted, so for a while there, somebody was hand delivering on Ridge.
Yeah.
So,
She
but
still is.
that's, so when we went through, they give you a map and you go through, there's like 4 sections, there's 4 different areas. So to get to Third Street, it has to go to 7th. It can't, they won't split it up.
Yeah,
for
that
you.
all changed then,
But-
unless whoever.
But
was
if you
doing
get your permit, you can change that.
You could, yeah.
It's a lot of work to sit down and figure out exactly which, but it can be done. And that's what we want to do. We want to try to cut out it going up on Hunter Road or, you know, up
If something
7th
goes by
Street.
roads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When it gets on the truck, it has to go to everywhere. on that truck.
exactly, exactly. So,
When I was doing it, there was a little over 900 homes in Verona.
yeah,
And I stapled every one of them and labeled every one of them.
wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
and then Dawn and his wife took over, Rhoda,
Yeah,
and then the
lot of
Steinhaus took over.
yeah.
And I did have a writer also because
Oh,
it's
did you?
very hard. And Dawn, you've done a very good job, but it's time consuming.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it is. I had a writer that I turned everything into her and she reread everything, dotted the i's and the t's.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Stephanie, would you like this? Just a
Yeah, that
copy
would
of
be
this?
wonderful,
Yeah.
just so we can go through it
And
today.
that's every check on there and the exact amount that we wrote to the borough.
And that's
If you would
perfect.
need, if you would need copies, I can.
I don't
You
need
know what I mean?
copies.
But,
Like, sometimes when we're going back as we're learning,
Yeah,
things get missed. So we'll make sure,
Exactly.
because she did go through and look, so that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good, good.
I have a
Okay.
couple other questions. Do you see the 9,157.74? Do you anticipate having to spend more, is that it for the whole 12 months in 2022? Does that include this current newsletter?
Does not include the current one that will be coming out in December.
Okay, and approximately how much, like if you were to budget it out, how much is it per newsletter? About how much do you spend?
About $2,400.
2,400
Yeah, on
per
average. I mean,
newsletter.
there's been a couple months that have been less, but right now it's about 2,400.
That would cut
It would
Okay.
be.
drastically once you get
Yeah,
nonprofit
absolutely,
status.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so is that recent $1,000 from the lottery ticket sales?
No, that's just separate.
So
Yeah,
that's separate
That's money that,
from the
that
advertisers.
from advertisers that
Okay.
got put into the account, and
Okay.
now it's available, so that's why.
So your expectation is that any bills coming due for this last newsletter in 2022, the bills will be paid by the borough? And then next year,
And then I would reimburse as I got paid for the advertisers. So it would be paid by the borough, yes, but then reimbursed like we've been doing all year. Whenever we get the money into the account, bring her a check.
okay, but for next year, my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, we put $5,000 in to give to the newsletter, not to continue paying the bills.
That would be, that's the way we have it written into the budget, is we would give you with the understanding the $5,000, which is approximately what we spend on the newsletter. We would just, because you're gonna be a nonprofit at that, you should be a nonprofit at that point, and then you would pay the bills.
Oh,
We would,
okay, I didn't know that.
we would middleman our way out of it.
Okay,
Because with the goal being in 2024 that you guys would then be, and you would get better rates if we weren't paying the bills.
That's true, yeah, because you're a nonprofit, you could write.
You can write a lot of that off.
They could. Rogers and Turk has the ability to donate some of their services to a nonprofit, and you guys can write them a receipt as a tax write.
So if we, so as long as
We can't do that.
we can't do that. They have to charge us certain things that they can't charge, that they will not charge you guys. So that's why, as a,
We're learning, this
Yeah.
is all.
and I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but yeah, so my theory was, and just so you understand, as my standing was, this is not the council standing. I did, you know, it is in the budget. It is still in the budget with the understanding that at some, you know, within this year, as you've already stated, there would be a memorandum of understanding stating that as of 2024, you know, I'm not, you know, we're not saying we're gonna, but that you'd be able to do this on your
Right.
own.
right,
That would be my goal,
yes,
but that's my goal. That's not their goal.
yeah, okay.
And the
Yeah.
borough manager in Penn Hills, he actually picked one up over the summer and he really liked that and he brought it to the board.
Oh, yeah.
But because, you know, they want to do this, do a newsletter, they're gonna fund it. But the problem is, there's like 48,000 homes
Mhm.
and,
Wait till they get that
Yeah.
bill.
yeah, and they're trying to do an alternative way to see. And I told them about putting them in stores and what have you, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there a possibility of like doing it digitally but printing, you know, maybe a quarter of them that you
Well,
have at locations? for
We
people to pick
tossed that idea around, but I think that would actually reduce the spread of the information in the newsletter.
But everybody is.
Not everybody
Well,
gets,
that's, no, but that's what I mean, but you'd still have.
Yeah.
in fact,
the
we do
ability to
that.
pick up hard copies.
In fact,
I mean,
Red,
strict, you know, no
Yeah.
paper.
in
copies.
fact, we do that right now. I give Jessica the newsletter after it's sent out. And she's putting it on her website. So not too many people know about that, see, and that's the problem of digitizing
Yeah.
your information.
One more question too. You said it would be roughly 2,400 for the last edition.
Yes,
Mhm.
Do you anticipate any income
yes,
coming yet this year?
yes.
Okay,
So
and how much do you, I mean, just a bulk, I mean,
Right now, at this point, probably have half that amount.
so like 1,200. Okay, all right. That's-
Well, that was gonna be one of my questions. With you giving us the 1,000 today, we're just trying to get to the nuts and bolts of everything. Do you guys keep a minimum balance in your in your checking account? Like you say, hey, we need to keep $1,000 in here or something.
We haven't been able to do that at this point.
We need to
Right,
pay
right.
more. We've been kind of worried about paying the borough back when they didn't write these checks.
We're just trying to, you
Yeah,
know,
So I've been using it. I mean, I have money in there now, but I don't have like, it's not a
Right.
great amount of money. I like to keep it just in case there was a problem with an ad and somebody wanted their money back. I
right,
have money to refund. If there was a mistake and we haven't ever had that happen, that anybody requested their money back, but you never know.
right.
Somebody might not be happy with something and we went in, or they might want refunded their, I have to have something in there. I won't want to come to the borough and ask them to refund that, you know,
Yeah, that would
gotta
be-
have something in there.
That wouldn't be, too
Yeah.
awful good.
Angela, what is the cost of the permit through the post office?
Did we check that?
I don't know that yet. I just got that information tonight.
We're gonna have a big meeting.
We're having a
tomorrow.
meeting tomorrow and we'll find that out tomorrow, I guess.
$250.
How much?
I think it's $250 for a
Okay.
nonprofit
That,
permit.
yeah, I was reading through, there was a lot of paperwork and that number kind of sticks to my head. But then isn't there a maintenance fee or something? You have to pay?
Then you have to pay a fee every year to
Every-
Right,
maintain
it's
that.
$250 every year.
Right.
And maybe it's more at the onset, but it's $250.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
there's consulting fees for changing over your mailing list.
That's new.
Is
I
that-
don't know about that.
Okay, I'm not
so
sure that
That I can't help with.
we may have to purchase a mailing list. I don't know. You know, there's unknowns here. There's lots
Yeah,
of
right.
unknowns.
I was wondering also, I think the electronic hybrid is an interesting idea in terms of cutting costs and still getting the information out. Are you also, I know sometimes they get longer because there's a lot of articles. Are you thinking about having any limits to the number of articles?
Well, that's a good
I-
question.
yeah, that is. a good
We're
question.
having a meeting tomorrow and we're going to discuss ways of reducing monthly articles. If that means someone who writes long articles would do that every other month, we may do something like that. We have to cut back on the size of the newsletter. That's the truth.
Well, in all honesty, we have to do that, yes, until we would get our permit. And
be
once we got our
self-sufficient.
permit, then it's not a big deal to have a bigger newsletter
That's
because
true.
our mailing, our printing costs are gonna be half. So if somebody wants to write a recipe or they want to do a story, they don't have to turn people away.
That's true.
So right
Well-
now, I believe we try to limit it to about, excuse me, about 24 pages.
Still some unknowns.
So I still want to get something clear. So for every newsletter that you make 2,200 copies of, you only spend $2,400?
So that's with the mailings and everything. That's including the mailing. So I'm
That's
sorry, but
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's about
and how much, and okay,
75,
what?
350, 375.
Yeah, but the
mailing.
total is
He totals everything.
2,400.
Yeah, he totals everything all together, including the mailings. So the printing and the mailings cost about 2,400.
Now, don't hold me to the 2,200. I think that's what I remember. I don't have the bill in front of me at this
That's-
point.
Yeah, and I'm just curious then,
It's 2,200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
what
That's
is your
including mailings.
average revenue coming in each quarter from your advertising?
Well, that's gonna vary. That's gonna vary because we don't always have, 20 people rerunning a year ad. Sometimes we only have 8, 10.
Well, if you had to
rerunning.
average it out, what would you say?
It's hard to average out. I don't know. We do, we probably do 60 to 70% of whatever the bill ends up being. So if it's $2,400, we usually get somewhere around 1,800. So we're falling a little short.
So if you take that $5,000 that we're going, the borough's gonna give you, times 4 quarters or divided by 4 quarters, that's $1,250 a quarter that you'll be able to use toward the cost of the newsletter.
Right.
And so that should help bring you even.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I'm just trying to now get an idea of when you stop giving us the money and keep it in your own checking account so that you can pay your bills.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that you guys don't keep giving the borough money, because
Oh, no,
we
now that I
promised
know
you-
this,
we-
I didn't know that this was gonna be. the way it
No,
is
no,
now.
the
We give her
bor-
5,000 and say that's.
No, this year, 22, we authorized to give the newsletter, what was it, 2,000 or 2,500? 2,000.
Mhm.
So, what's left, I mean, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've covered all of the expenses except for $2,100. If you subtract the 2,000 that the borough has committed to the newsletter for 2022, you really only owe the borough $117 right now. Does that making sense to people?
Yeah, it doesn't.
In some ways, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to go through. it
I
and
just
make
don't
sure.
want you to keep giving your money to the borough when you need to have the money in your own checking account to pay your.
Well,
That's our
that's-
goal, is to become self-independent and not
That's the
have to,
deal till the
not
end of
have to,
2022.
you know.
That's
Right,
the
which
deal.
is a month away.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the deal though.
That's
That money is there, that money goes to the borough.
Yeah.
But in January, if we're gonna do it that way, then we keep all the money, we pay all the bills, and that's fine.
Right.
Until the
except-
end of
right,
twenty twenty-two, that's why I continue to pay the borough,
well,
because that was the deal.
the quarters don't quite jive up with our fiscal year, though. It's, you
They're
know,
never gonna jive
It
up.
never
Sorry.
well, December to February.
Yeah, they're not, because we just
You
changed
know,
that to so we
right.
can have a Christmas edition. We just
Right.
did that this year.
Right.
Before it would go to the end of December,
Yeah.
but this year we just changed that right in the middle of the year, just so we could have a December issue. So
I
that's
just
why it's
wouldn't-
not.
I wouldn't want you to give advertising money for the newsletter that's coming out, you know, that's due, articles are due March 1st.
Right,
To the borough, even if you get it ahead of, you see what I'm saying?
right, yes.
I think it's important to divide it up,
Yes,
use the 2022 money for 2022,
absolutely.
plus the 2,000 that the borough promised you, and then start fresh.
Right.
Your new quarter, which is March or whatever, and then you guys have your own account. You
Right.
get the bills, you pay the bills, you have our 5,000, and, you know, you
Right.
go from there.
Right, I understand. Yeah.
I do have another question. Your expenses this year, counting this next mailing, are like 11,500,
Yeah,
but you said it's like 2,400 a mailing, 4 times 2,400 is 9,600.
I
You're
didn't
like
say
2,000.
11,500. I
Well, you
said
had
91,500.
91,500 plus 2,400. I mean,
Not-
9,100 plus 2,400.
No,
said
you
that
don't
you didn't
add
pay this
2,400.
quarter.
Yeah, we didn't pay because we didn't, it's not printed yet.
Right, but
It's not
what
done
I'm
yet.
they
saying
have
is,
5 newsletters going out this year because
Yeah.
of the way the
We,
newsletter.
we
Okay.
switched it, yeah,
okay,
exactly. We switched it,
that-
so
Ah,
That-
you switched
okay.
5 this year
for-
instead of, yeah.
okay,
right.
that explains everything then.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
Yeah.
have one going, went out in January, one in April, one in June, and one in September, and now they're doing the one
Okay.
for Christmas.
Got it.
that
You
is-
planning on
that's the
doing that
difference
every
then.
year?
What's that?
You plan on having 5 every year now?
No, just this year was 5, right? We're back on track now, right?
We should be,
December,
we should be. We moved it ahead up a month so it would coincide
It'll be
with
before
the,
next
with
year.
the seasons.
Yeah, it'll be
That's,
4 next year.
I think so. I think it'll be 4 now.
Okay,
Okay.
So can you just reiterate one more time your ask? Because Donald, I was a little confused with your email. 'Cause did I misunderstand? There's
What?
a hold up with the publishing until,
There is a holdup in the publishing right now because we weren't sure what the council was going to do. So rather than incur added expenses, we just had it halted until we found out. So once now we know, we can tell them to continue with that addition and get it out as soon as we can. Might be
If-
just a
because
little
if
bit
we
late.
gotta pay that bill, because I mean, we're kind of out of money because we only got 2,000, so we're out of money. We should really wouldn't be able to ask you guys for any help. In addition to that, we'd have to start refunding our advertisers because people have paid for a whole year. So we were gonna be in a pretty sticky boat. That's why we stopped until we knew what your decision was. That's why I think he asked you to vote ahead of time. I know you normally don't do that, but we couldn't move forward unless we know. If we have the support, fine, it's great. But if we didn't, then we stop the presses. We don't want to incur another $2,400 bill from him. Or any bill from him for that matter, and then have to start refunding our advertisers that have paid. They may have paid in September for a whole year. Well, they've got to get refunded.
So-
So.
so you're asking for like 2,400 now
No,
and
no,
5,000
no,
next
no.
year?
No, we just needed to know if you intended to
So
support the newsletter.
he'll
one
hold
more
the bill
year.
back until next year? So,
Depending on what your answer is as to whether we're gonna get the 5,000 for next year.
Right.
Is gonna be the answer that we give Ray, whether you move forward with that newsletter or you stop the presses. So
okay,
that's why we had asked for a vote sooner than normal.
The 2,000 is already committed to
So
that.
we have 2,000 already committed.
I understand that.
We're at a little under 2,000 right now. And I don't think,
I'm just understanding how next year's money affects
it's,
current trimming. Because you won't get that money till next year.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. He can
He-
get in chamber.
Okay, well, that's what I was saying about holding
Yeah,
back the bill. Okay,
Yeah, he won't bring her things.
okay. No, that's what I was asking about holding back the bill until January. Okay,
Yeah, he's waited a month before to pass.
no
it.
problem.
Anybody have anything else?
Well, I just was going to recap some of the things for the audience that we are doing and have done, just for the sake of knowledge on their part. The newsletter has a 501(c) at this time. We are a nonprofit organization. The newsletter staff has acquired a bank. We have a bank account and an EIN number. The newsletter staff is applying for this permit to reduce the postage rates. According to the post office, again, the permit would allow the Verona newsletter to update and revise the mailing route. And that in turn could save us quite a bit of money. The newsletter staff is actively making rules to regulate and restrict the size of the newsletter. The newsletter staff is also planning on additional fundraising events. These could be included like 50-50 raffles, possibly lotteries, another lottery, possibly a bingo. So that would certainly help offset costs. Our plans will take some time to fully implement, of course. This is where the council's decision is vital. Without its support, the newsletter cannot accomplish the goals that we've listed above. And if this happens, the Verona newsletter staff is powerless to lower newsletter expenses. And just remember, the newsletter is the only current Verona-specific source of news and events in print form that is in Verona at this time, and is accessible to all residents of Verona, regardless of having internet access or not. So that's, I think, an important factor to consider as well. So just recapping, I want to thank everybody for listening to us and understanding our situation and doing what you've done. I appreciate
Thank you.
your help.
Thank you guys for doing
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go on to comments from public on agenda related items only. Raise your virtual hands or come to the podium. We got Jessica.
Hi, everybody. Jessica Barone, 722 Bruno Street. Wanted to make a comment about the police report. I saw that on the agenda from the mayor. And I just want to make sure everyone has the context for that. In June, the community group hosted a public safety meeting, which I know some of you attended. We had about 30 people that attended that. And then we also sent out a survey prior to the meeting to just kind of gauge what residents were concerned about, what they thought was going well related to public safety. There were about 40 people that responded to that. And one of the big pieces of feedback that we got was that they'd like to get a police report that summarizes the major activity going on in the borough every month. The city of Pittsburgh does this, provides it to its residents. It's really awesome, wonderful way to build community relationships with the between the police and the community, and also, you know, help solve crimes, as you know, the residents can be some good sources of tips and information. So it's a win-win. In early October, the chief sent me a summary police report from September. So I was really excited to get that. But then when I thought about, you know, how best we could distribute that, I reached out to the borough, since I think it really belongs on the borough's website. It was, you know, more of a document and not just text in an email, and not on the community group's website. So I haven't been able to get any traction to get it posted on your site yet, but I also realized Stephanie's been new to the borough for the last month or so, and that probably maybe was not the highest priority as you're working through the budget prep. But since the mayor has this on the agenda, I wanted to comment on it. I don't think it really requires council discussion. Actually, I don't think it really needs to come to a meeting, but it just needs to get posted on the website. And the community group will happily share a link to the report when it's published. We have an email list of about 300 people in the community. I haven't followed up with the chief yet to get an October report, since I wanted to get this resolved first, but I think this matter could really easily be taken care of outside of a council meeting, and I hope there's some resolution soon. I know how much the community would like to get this information, so it should be an easy fix. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any Showalter?
Dan Showalter, 440 North Avenue. This is in regards to the newsletter. I want to first and foremost say I am not speaking for the Verona Republican Committee in any kind of formal way, but I do think I can kind of sum up the gist of what a lot are thinking. Last election local cycle, back in 2021, approximately 3 weeks before the election happened, one of the candidates that was running for council was prominently displayed on the front page of the newsletter. That individual was running for a special election and was running against actually the first ever endorsed Republican candidate in the borough of Verona. As far as many of us were considered, it was a political flyer that hit everybody's mailbox. Did it change the outcome of the vote? Probably not. But that kind of bias in the newsletter really kind of affected the way we did some of our campaigning from that moment forward. I think the borough should seriously think twice about partnering with any kind of publication, because bias can sneak into these kind of situations. And that newsletter hitting all those mailboxes would have cost our committee probably about $2,600 to be able to put that out there. But the candidate for that special election got a free mailer with a color photograph, his name, and etc. right there on the front page. And that was 3 weeks before the election, guys. So we'll be watching the newsletter like a hawk next election cycle. But just to let you know, there's a nice group of us out here that are not too thrilled about the idea of the borough partnering. So anyways, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dan. Anybody else? Okay, well. We have nothing under discussion items from the advisory boards and committees. Next thing we have is new business action items. It's hiring of a part-time police officer, Sylvia Provenza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Vince and I interviewed Dale McLaughlin recently, and we both found him to be, I would say, qualified. He's got a good background with education and employment experience, and we feel that he may be a very good candidate here for Verona. And Vince, did you want to add something to that?
No, we covered it all. I think we still have to run mandatory background check and
Right.
stuff, but if that all comes back, great. Look forward to having a new part-time police officer in the borough.
He's very, very anxious to join our force here. And seemed like a very nice person, easy to talk to. He asked some very good questions. And I think it would be good to give him a chance to serve here. And we do need help
Absolutely.
big time, so.
Are you gonna put that in the form of a motion, Sylvia?
Yes, I can. I can make the motion to bring Dale McLaughlin on to our force.
First by Sylvia,
I'll second.
We have
second,
to put pending background check.
Yeah,
Yeah, pending,
that.
pending
Okay.
background check. Thank
second by Nancy.
you.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Thank you.
thank you.
May I ask a quick related question? Did we ever do anything about the individual who submitted their resume to be a substitute crossing guard?
Not that I review.
I can check on that.
Aside from approving,
Yeah, we approved.
you voted to approve it, but
I don't think anybody
I will check.
reached out or whatever. I don't, but I remember.
yeah, because you're right, there's. It's about getting to be sick time of the year.
Yeah, right.
You might need substitutes.
I will check on that.
Thank
Okay.
you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Okay, discussion items. We're gonna go start at number one. Committees, ALOM, COG, the representatives, with Trish.
Yep, thank you, Mr. President. Council should have a list of the updated committees, hopefully the last time for a while. In summary, our newest council member, Tim Long, has been plugged in where former council member Rhoda Ford was, so he will be heading the community development committee for now, and also in finance and public safety. I want to thank Dr. Parker for stepping up and volunteering, not only for the highly coveted chair of finance position, but also
Very funny.
to return as a for as our COG delegate, the Allegheny Valley North Council of Governments, and I am going to nominate myself to be her alternate. And the ALOM representative or delegate is still Sylvia Provenza. Thank you, Sylvia. Nancy Presner will also be filling in as an alternate for Sylvia should. So thank you, everyone, for your willingness to fulfill those roles.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Trish? Next thing, salt shed, update.
No, no question. I'm just suggesting that we all need to figure out. The chair people of each committee figure out when they want to have their meetings.
Yeah, I was
There's
gonna,
absolutely no reason why we need to stick to the old schedule.
no,
And we just need to decide so we can advertise them.
we have to advertise, we do the advertising the first week. or
Yeah,
two.
along
January.
with all of our other
Right,
meetings and
right.
everything, so it's cheaper, yeah.
You guys could just let me know.
Yeah, if you, yeah, the chairmans of each committee, let Stephanie know what nights you want to have your meetings. You work it out with your committees, which is the better days and times, and she'll set up the schedule and I guess the Zoom link along with that.
Some committees didn't change, so.
Well, if you, yeah, but just get with her, you know, let her know what nights you're gonna do it. Like if, like Vince, you're the communications, your communication board.
Yeah, but it didn't change, yeah, so.
Yeah, so but still just let her know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let her know what
just let me
dates,
know that.
date you do it. All right, thank you. Okay, salt shed update. The show owner.
Yes,
I sent the pictures to you, Vince. If you look in the admin, there are pictures of the updated salt shed.
yeah, I just wanted to share with everyone who maybe hasn't gotten a chance to pop your head in the Arch Street garage lately, but we do have the structure that was previously approved by council assembled. And that is what it looks like. It looks like it has salt. So
It
that
does
was
have salt.
Also good, heading into the folder now.
So
No, that was perfect. Yeah, I just want everyone to have a quick
the people at
visual.
home can't see, right?
It says screen
Oh.
share.
Yeah,
They
it's-
should. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Now they should be able to see your screen share.
Yep, so I don't have too much more to say on that, other than for anyone who maybe wasn't present in those earlier meetings, we are intending this to not be a permanent solution here at the riverfront property. But is an intermediate step in getting us to move away from a collaboration with Oakmont that wasn't necessarily working out in our best favor, back to where it was originally, but we are still investigating more environmentally suitable long-term solutions for the storage of our salt. But for 2023 and the end of 2022, we are okay.
And for all intents and purposes, for people that don't realize, that dome can be taken down and moved elsewhere. That cover comes off and them cement blocks, that's movable. So if we would be able to find a place, we can move that with some work, but the street crew, the DPW put they did the asphalt floor, they did the cement blocks, and they had, I forget the name of the company that come in to put the canvas up. And I don't know if that really matters, but they can do, they're good with that stuff. They're a good crew.
What are we doing with the leaves?
I don't know.
They were out.
No, what are we doing with them? They're being stockpiled down there.
Okay, I'll check on that too.
There's a company across on Rod 8, we take our stuff to API. I think it's $20 a truckload,
Let me check.
and they recycle it.
Is that here's where we might take them, or where have we historically taken them?
just let them rot on it. I know it was on First Street there, the other First.
They used to take them
They
over
used to
there.
dump them there and just let it, and if anybody wanted,
They used to take them up the top of Ridge too, at one time, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, in the back there.
I'll talk to AJ.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions for the salt shed? Okay. Allow public comment at the start of a meeting on non-related, agenda-related items. Trish, again.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Since we've had some transitions, and new council members, I wanted to revisit, the issue. I think in the past, we've allowed public comment at the start of meetings, also on non-agenda items. I think this worked well, to reduce, people having to hang around, perhaps increasing their frustration about whatever they wanted to comment, and having to stay perhaps 1, 2, 3, or 4 hours to make this comment. And also wanting to move towards more, communication with the public and maximizing opportunities for engagement about issues that may pop up sometimes before you can get it in the agenda posting, especially again, for people who can't necessarily stay to the end of the meeting. I wanted to see everyone's thoughts on perhaps allowing that again at the start of meetings as well as at the end of the meeting.
I mean. But isn't that? What registered comments are for?
Well, I think what she's getting at, Vince, is there's somebody up front here that wants to talk about that just come up maybe or something, and they want to just discuss it, but they can't sit through the whole meeting for whatever.
Or it's their first meeting, they just moved here and they don't know the protocol.
Yeah,
And
we
it did
have
have
seen people get up and leave because it's getting late.
Mhm.
We've had also people come to the podium and say, I want to talk about, the ice on such and such street, but then you have to say, well, that's public comment at the end. And I agree with you.
I kind of agree.
Now, are
Okay.
are you saying eliminate the comment at the end?
No,
Have 2 comment sessions
2 windows.
and it can be anything at either one.
mhm.
So are we're still gonna have registered comments from the public?
Well, I think, in my view, the register comments kind of differentiates a little bit because that may be something that's more prepared. There may be an ask, there could be slides and maybe longer than 3 minutes, kind of giving us a heads up. There's some discussion as opposed to someone who just, wants to talk about ice or their garbage or.
Well, I guess that's what my question is. I don't want, if somebody takes the time in a week ahead of time, sends an email to admin and they register for a registered public comment. I don't think it's fair for them to sit through 17 comments about potholes or somebody's mad because the road wasn't salted.
Mhm.
It's something that just happened yesterday with them. I mean, I think we're just discussing the order, as long as registered comments still come before.
Right.
Right,
you know,
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
They'll be first.
Registered comment first so that if someone from the public has a comment on the registered comment. they
And
have an
have comments
opportunity.
for non-related agenda items.
So the same order is just will be.
Just
comments
add
from
one
the
little
public
slash in there.
It will just say the same thing as the one at the end. We take out agenda items only.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll keep an eye on it. If it gets
Yeah.
out of hand, then we might have to
we
go
might
back.
have to address it. Okay. I don't think we need to make a motion on that.
Mm-mm.
Are we starting that as of December 13th?
Yes,
Okey-dokey.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, donation to the police department from the Second United Presbyterian Church, Mayor Ricky.
Yes, so make it real quick. Verona Presbyterian Church, they actually closed down sadly, and there was a nice article in the Trib Live. Tells all about it. And they just recently sold and they donated to the police department $2,000, and we're in the process of sending them a nice thank you letter. I just wanted to bring that up to the board and the public.
Any idea what you're gonna use the money on, Dave, or do you guys have any projects lined up?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No. We'll just put it in the,
I'll talk to him.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Anybody else, anything for Dave on that? No. Number 7, posting a police report on a website. Mayor again.
How do you skip one?
How about?
Did I skip one?
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped a sign.
He
Okay,
said-
I'm sorry.
skip two.
I skipped a couple there. I'm sorry. I just saw the next thing. Okay, number 5, fine increase for parking by fire hydrants, the mayor.
Yes, right now our ordinance states it's a $10 fine, which is nothing. You know, I get a lot of calls from up at, on the main drag, people parking at the fire hydrant. And, you know, what's $10? They'll go into the store for an hour, you know what I mean? I want to bring it to $50, or whatever the state code is. I believe it's, $50, if not, you know, up to probably, I don't know what it is, but we'd have to look into that.
Yeah.
And,
It's a great idea. I totally. support
yeah,
it.
the least amount would be $50. And then that does have the power to tag these people. She has, you know, for $10 in the past. So we'd like to raise that.
In favor of raising.
Will public
all
safety
parking
look into it?
tickets.
Can we have public safety look into it?
Well, yeah, we just have to find the,
Right.
what our ordinance is now and what the state ordinance is. We'll go by what the state is.
Yeah, I
So,
think we should match the state, whatever it
Right.
is. It's-
year or two ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I started to work on this and I wanted to actually do an entire overhaul of all the fines, because I think they're all too low.
Mhm.
But what I found out, it's quite a process. I did at one point get a copy of like what a typical ticket looks like. That gave us all the current prices. We did have some discussions. And then, you know, you know what hit the fan, and so that kind of got put to, you know, down the priority list, but it requires an ordinance. Right. And we had something called an ordinance committee at the time. We don't have that anymore. I think each committee does their own ordinances, so. It would take some work with Craig, but before you get anywhere near an ordinance, you have to do this research that you guys have alluded to. In order to know what we're charging now, what if any, there are state regulations.
Right.
And it, you know, it's not that simple. I'm just letting you know, it's not something that we can just say, oh, okay, let's make the fire hydrant $50. We can't do that.
Well, I don't think
Yeah.
Dave's saying that. I'm just saying.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
he is either. I'm clarifying for the public too. I have to look back because it wasn't electronic.
Okay, from your recollection, do any others stand out as glaringly?
High handicap. Handicap is way too low. I think it's like only $50 in most places around town that are in town, or like $250.
500.
Or whatever it
I've
is.
seen places-
Yeah.
I've seen handicap.
And, yeah.
Parking tickets have been $5
Yeah.
since the 70s.
We came up with a plan and,
Went through the wayside.
yeah,
We can work on that again.
yeah.
What's that?
We can work on that.
I have
Okay.
to see if I can find my old stuff, but it's gotta be. I don't know, probably 2019. Yeah, about 3
Well,
years.
we can look into it and have each committee or work with Stephanie, along with Stephanie and look at the pricing and see what we can do.
It would also increase our revenue.
Sure, sure.
I mentioned many
Hopefully,
times
it's
before,
hopefully
vacant lot fees need to be enforced and raised, because we have too many vacant lots that. It's just a drain on the town right now.
That's true too, and there is an ordinance about that. About how much they're supposed to pay and
You just need to enforce
exactly.
it.
Yes.
So, I feel like we deviated slightly. The parking tickets, I agree. I think that falls under public safety, but the vacant lot fee might be more community development.
Yeah, probably.
It could
Yeah,
be,
I
it could
think
be a
most of
cross
the- all of
between
them are
both,
kind of
because some vacant lots are a public hazard, because. If it's an abandoned house on a vacant property, and there's kids in there partying, or if it's getting vandalized, then that's public safety right there. We just went through a bunch of rodent issue with public safety, and it was because of a vacant property, so.
Okay,
Wasn't there a delineation? You used to be head of public safety, Ray, and Rhoda was head of community development, and I think initially, like, in January, I remember attending that meeting by Zoom, and they made a delineation between if it's something like just the land or if it's the building.
Well, we started looking into that and then we just go by the wayside again,
Yeah,
just everything else.
so if I have to look back at my.
We can,
old
a lot of
notes,
this maybe next year, starting in January,
Yeah. That-
things we need
yeah,
to look at.
That would be in the meeting minutes from whatever, January, February 2022.
To keep it simple for now, do either of those two committees have an objection to working with that?
No, I just was saying it might be a
Crossover.
collaboration.
No, I
of
agree. I
both.
was just making sure the committees, the committee heads felt that way. Because there is also, I don't know if it's the same document Nancy was referencing, but Stephanie, I'll share with you something we had worked on. I thought Christine created it, that at each committee and then the priorities as they came up during the year kind of listed, or if they were in dual places. And then they vote. So I'll share that because, we'll probably need a new one.
Okay.
We do the priority list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Yes.
while we're on ordinances, and I brought this up at the last meeting and I was asked to bring it back to this meeting here. But it just dawned on me, I don't see it as on the agenda. The parking on South Avenue, on the cobblestone hill. I had sent all the council people a picture. There was 11 cars, business people parked there. They should be parking in the parking lots. That's all. I think the parking permits are $10 or $15 a month. That's very cheap. They're getting away with free parking, and you can't even bring two cars down there anymore. You have to wait until the other one comes up or down, then go up.
Didn't we talk about doing
No
One
parking.
permit
on-
parking through certain hours?
I thought we said no parking on the dentist side.
I thought we were. that's
Yeah,
what we
on
were
one
leaving.
side,
We
yeah.
were leaving
Yeah.
toward one
But
side.
again, you need an ordinance.
You have to
for
create
Right.
an ordinance.
Right, and I honestly thought we had an ordinance on that years ago. I'm talking maybe 3 councils way back, if not 4, but
We
apparently
couldn't find one.
nobody can find one.
Okay.
We've looked up south every which way to Sunday.
And if you do discuss that, let me know, and I'd like to, be in on that.
I think it's still on our radar. We just figured that,
Well, I just wanted to bring it up, because I was asked to wait to this meeting.
as soon as it snows, everyone should be closed. for
Right.
most of the anyway.
Okay,
It's not gonna snow.
very good. Thanks, Dave.
6.
The next thing, signs on borough property, the mayor.
Yeah, this is, in the past, we all have seen them, a lot of business signs go up on the borough property, and it shouldn't be. If we need to put an ordinance in, once again, we need to do that, but we probably shouldn't have to, because it is private property. Well, it's public property. But, we need to get these signs off, and it shouldn't, and maybe they should get fined, because it's taking time out of our street department, especially when they gotta go cut grass, they gotta remove the signs. Whether they're political signs or business signs, we've all seen them everywhere. If they're on private property, that's your business. I know up here at Get-Go, during election time, I actually called Get-Go because they had the whole thing on the boulevard flooded with signs. Daily Juice had their signs. ABC, bottling, they had, big sign, hiring, and I did talk to somebody down there, and I even expressed to them, I says, it's your business, it's private property, but it does look very bad on the main drag. You got a beautiful store there, and it makes our town look junky, and they agreed, but they've really never done anything about it. That's all I have on that.
And again, that's their private property. so they
Right,
can do it.
exactly.
I think we might have an ordinance already, because I had to fill out a permit in 2018, because PISA, Pittsburgh Indoor Sports Arena, donated the use of their facility for free
I
to
remember
Parks
that.
and Recreation for in case it rained, for our draft tournament. In return, they asked me if I could come to a council meeting, get permission to put some of their summer football camp signs up around the parks and stuff. So the kids can
Remember
see it. And I had to actually go to the borough secretary the next day, and she had a permit I had to fill out for it. So I believe if we have permits for it, there has to be a resolution or there's something somewhere.
We will look it up.
All right.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Number 7. Police posting reports on the Verona website.
Yes, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. Like Jessica said, it probably, and it should be on the borough website. It is public knowledge. And as, out of respect, I just wanted to bring it up to the board to say, yes, we should put it on there, a monthly report. I think it's a very good idea. And, thank you for, following up on that, Jessica.
My question is, the report that Jessica is speaking of and the report that I think we're thinking of are two very different things. The report that Jessica is speaking of is 4 pages, labor intensive at this point. Pittsburgh does give out a report. They push a button, all their calls for the entire, like, readouts of their calls come up. And then they post that to the public. In Verona, to do that, our police chief has to sit, go through all the calls and put them all down. We do not get that report. The report that we get are the numbers. So we're trying to figure out how, with the fact that there's not, we are literally looking at manpower issues, what report are we looking to put on that website?
I'm not sure what they're looking to put on to tell you the truth.
Because-
I think the mayor is talking about the standard report that we get. At
Are you
business
talking about that
meetings.
report?
You
Yeah.
know, the monthly log, basically, you know.
Who are we going to have? We have to figure out that where the manpower to do that's gonna come from. Because it takes 4 to 5 hours to complete. At this point, because of the fact that there's just not enough of them right now.
Yeah, you just can't go to the county website and bank Verona and that's it.
Yeah, you have to actually go through each call. He has to go through each call, and what he does is to make sure that the addresses are gone and stuff like that. So it's at the 800 block and then this
Right.
and then that. So we have to, we have to see if maybe we can find a better format of how to do that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just worried about manpower right now, especially when we have right now 1 cop on at a time.
Jessica, if you could think of any better ways, could you please get in touch with me?
Sure, I don't think I mean, I can happy to share because I still get the emails from Zone 5, what they sent. But it's pretty succinct. It's a lot shorter than what the chief sent me, which was longer than I expected. So I don't know how they summarize it, but I doubt they just push a button because it looks like it's curated in some way.
And maybe.
I don't know enough about what their processes are to offer a solution, but it would be a nice thing to have.
Yeah, if you could get us a copy of that report, that might be handy, because the report that we're all looking at right now is like 5 pages and it is fairly
Yeah.
detailed. So
That-
maybe
oh,
we can find a middle ground.
Yeah, the one that the chief sent was really long. I was surprised. That must be
Yeah.
the 5-page one, which is different than what you guys usually get, I think, at council,
Right.
which is a
It is,
shorter
right.
version. So, but it's not as, yeah, well, I'm happy to, who do you want me to forward the example to?
Could you?
To the
Manager, Verona Borough.
To Stephanie. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that way we can just look at it and we can, because looking at this, I mean, I have the one he sent you. I mean, I think maybe he did do more than he needed to. So maybe there is a happy medium in
Right,
this. We're all just trying to
exactly.
figure it
Oh,
out.
Let me
cut that down.
ask this.
Well, wait.
Do we have the police, the report that we get at the business meeting, is that posted on the
We
website?
can post that on the website.
Jessica, will that satisfy you?
I think they want.
No, they want more,
I
but I
don't-
was gonna suggest that in the meantime, we just go ahead and post what we have. That the chief and Annette do already, or Jerry, or whoever
Yeah,
does
it's
it.
1 page.
Right, it's 1 page, and do that, and then when we get more police and things iron out, or you guys look at this example from the city. Then we can come up with a happy medium, but in the meantime, I don't remember on the website if the police reports are on there, there might be.
Well, I know what the mayor's talking about, because they used to have it in the advanced leader.
Right.
Yeah,
And it would have,
Every
it
week,
was a police log,
yeah.
and it would just say, there was a disturbance at such
Right.
and such, and on this date, and it was handled, or it's still under investigation. I don't know.
They would be very brief about it,
Yes,
but
yes,
times
very
have
vague.
changed too. as far as the daily logs go, calls.
So if you can get me a copy of that, Jessica, that would be great. And I'm sure between all of us, we can figure something out. It's just the one we all saw, we were like, we were like, there's no way anybody's gonna have time right now because of staffing issues.
Thank you, Jessica.
Sounds good, thanks.
Very good, thank you. Okay, number 8, hanging basket storage.
It's all taken care of.
It's all taken care of?
Angela and I are working on it right now.
Okay, okay.
So don't worry about it.
Can you,
Can you share with us?
Oh, yeah, they're going to the chamber has agreed to, store the baskets in their part of the, DPW garage. Now it's a matter of getting them, they have to get them from Arch Street, which they're locked behind a gate, so they will have to go get them from Arch Street, get them to DPW, and trying to do that. They all work full time, so we're trying to figure out how to make that all work,
Okay,
because DPW doesn't want to leave Arch Street unlocked.
no blame.
I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. But this past year, there was a lot of concerns brought up by various council members about allowing, community items in the garage, which again, I'm completely fine with this instance, but do we need a policy on how chambers of commerce decides who they sublet their allotted space? to?
Yes, they should not be allowed to sublet. Period. The chamber should come to council if they want some non-chamber entity to use borough property. I mean,
I
that
thought it was
that
gonna
would
be
be
on this-
like somebody coming in and subletting the pickleball courts, or subletting the baseball fields, or
Stephanie
subletting.
about this.
Yeah.
They can have it.
Well, 2016, the council gave that room to Parks and Recreation.
They did
There
What-
are a
what
mixture
room?
of things.
the chamber room,
Chambers
they
room does
they
have
gave it to.
Parks and
That was
Parks and
voted
Rec
on by
to store
council.
Parks and Rec stuff.
That is where Parks and Rec would be storing Parks and Rec materials.
Yeah.
Wasn't the agreement that they stored them down at Arch Street?
No, that
Yeah.
was where they would be taken down to.
Taken to?
Yes, the DPW took them to Arch Street.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just. People are missing, they're circumventing the steps. Like,
Yeah, and I think
do we
I,
have a policy?
you know,
Yeah,
and we
but
need
your
one.
issue is the fact that chamber decided who's using chambers, not council.
yeah, chamber decided who was using the borough, Verona tax-paid borough garage. Without approaching council about it.
Which
That's an issue.
we've changed from the way we've done things before, so I think we can correct this once we establish what is our policy.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps if space is not a concern, Garden Green can have their own corner, or whoever needs space for the benefit of the community.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Vince's issue is that.
No, it's just, we need
Garden
to
Club's
know.
using it. It's the fact that chamber told them to go ahead and use it.
What if Chamber's like, hey, you can store uranium in there? We don't know what's being
And I-
stored in
and I
there,
think-
like, you know? No, I mean, but that's how stuff gets out of hand.
Right.
Like, we need to. Us as council, and especially the manager. Should know what's in there. They should know what's being stored in there.
Well-
We shouldn't have mystery items like, who put this in there?
Yeah,
Well,
so-
like,
Last April, they did an inventory. I don't know if they handed it in to anybody at the borough or not.
the DPW.
No,
That's
chamber.
Oh.
Chamber. And, my only question is, not having been on council for January through half of September, I came to just about every meeting and I remember this being a discussion. What I don't remember is whether or not you all ever came up with a resolution and voted, made a motion on it.
I don't think we did.
I think there were a few things like that, that I remember being talked about and then the actual resolution was never formulated and voted on.
But I think before we do anything, I mean, and I completely agree with you. To the point is, it's. The problem that it turned into was, we were told. that the flower baskets had to be stored, which was fine, but we were told that the chamber had given permission, but nobody from the chamber had told us, so we were all trying to figure out. So if there's just a way that, they have to just tell us. So that, because I felt, like I just didn't know what was going on. And it was like, I couldn't say yes because I hadn't talked to anybody from, nobody from the chamber had even let us know.
Well, I got an email from Angela last.
Yeah.
Weekend, I guess. It was. And I said, I don't have a way to get in there and I don't know what it, go through Stephanie. And she said, okay. Well, in the meantime, I called the mayor and asked him, did he know if they gave the chamber permission?
Yeah.
And, that's when this all kind of,
Yeah, it's just a
snowballed.
matter, it's not that it's a problem as much as it's just a communication issue that we need to,
Well,
be
I think-
into.
But we need to make a policy and write
Yeah,
it
I
down.
think we need to get a policy made. But I think right now, the chamber needs, I think the garden club wants to get them out of the weather.
Yeah.
And if everybody's okay with it for now, chamber's okay with it.
I'm
And
okay with
if
it.
we're okay with it for now, and we can come up with and DPW is okay with it. And we can come up with a policy soon. Let's just let them have it done for now for this year. And hopefully next year
Yeah.
we're more on the ball.
I'm gonna suggest my committee infrastructure as well as communication.
Just so it's just a knowing thing.
Right.
It's just, a communication issue, I don't think DPW had a problem. I don't think, it was just,
And the garden club's willing to transport them.
yeah.
They
So
just
we're,
need to get in.
we're
Which
trying to
goes
figure
back to
that part out.
Vince's point, if it comes through council, then there wouldn't be a communication
Yeah.
issue.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, we
Right.
need to know what's in,
Right.
for liability issues, for everything. Like,
Yeah.
What about though, another discussion I remember watching from the audience was about. Who can go in the garage and then. And what I recall, and again, I wasn't on council, but what I recall seeing or hearing. Is that if DPW or the borough manager, whoever was not available. That the police could open it for whoever wanted to put stuff in there, because they're here 24 hours a day. So I wonder if that became a policy or not, or whether we
No.
can agree
Yeah,
on
because
this.
the police couldn't get into it on the day of Jolly Jamboree.
Right.
And I think this
Well, then
particular thing,
Yeah,
this is,
We need
they're
to
not
get
gonna be in and out with this. They're gonna put them away till the spring.
Yeah.
And then come out, get them out in the spring.
Outside.
Put them away for this winter, for till
Yeah.
the spring.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
one time in, one.
Right.
time out.
right, but right now, those things are sitting outside.
Well, yeah, and there's.
We know that.
And the weather is gonna.
We
really
know
turn
that.
the
That's what we're trying to,
Yeah,
get this done.
There's no objection.
It's not an objection to them storing, moving them and storing them. It's a.
It's just for the
process of-
future,
No,
future
but also
process.
Garage, how are they gonna
Right.
get in the garage?
Well,
They're gonna work
unfortunately,
that out with
we're
Stephanie.
working that out. That's
Right,
the
but she's
best.
Alluding to the lack of a general policy and who can get into the garage and underway.
Well, the problem right now is. That's not, the biggest problem right now is getting Arch Street unlocked. And getting them to the garage. While DPW is working, because there is nobody besides DPW that can lock and unlock Arch Street.
But couldn't we get a key made for the police?
No, I'm not, no, they don't want any, I don't think they want any more keys, and they honestly, right now. I don't know how, they had a,
Angela, is there anybody available daylight that can get these? Well, I understand that, and here's our dilemma. Our guys work daylight, we're not gonna pay them overtime to do this. So you guys are gonna have to find a way to get down there. I'm not being.
I mean,
So maybe
Yeah.
she can try to ask around.
Okay,
that would be the,
Anybody know? I have some mornings available, but I have 2 jobs.
yeah, the Arch Street is gonna be, it's gonna be the biggest issue. Yeah, Arch, it's not DPW, we can figure out DPW, it's Arch Street that becomes an issue.
Ian's gonna handle that, you're gonna work on it?
We already talked about it, we'll figure it out.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Half the time, those doors are where the salt shed is, which is, I think, where the baskets are,
Mhm.
is open. It's just open. I drive by it every day.
The shadow.
The
During
key,
the day,
during the day.
during the day, but nobody, they can't get nobody during the day. That's what they're saying. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll get them. We'll figure something out.
Okay, number 9, glass recycling services update. Stephanie.
I gave you all some information on this. I just wanted you guys to look it over. I am not sure how much has been discussed of this. This would be a project in partnership with Oakmont. We would be doing glass recycling. A container would be placed within one of the boroughs, most likely our borough. The cost for the first year is, to us, would be $2,500, which would be 2023, and then $1,250 for the next 4 years of the agreement. Currently, they're researching sites. This would be in partnership with actually Oakmont, Verona, and Dormont, which I know sounds a little weird, but Dormont.
Well, so you're saying in order to put the dumpsters there, they want $2,900?
20, well, no. The dumps, if Oakmont decides to do this without us, if they pay the full $5,000 and do it without us, there's a really good chance the container will still end up in Verona
Where?
at the shopping center.
Where?
Yeah, it is expensive to rent those.
Well, it's really, most of it's, I mean, then we would be able to fill out, what are those grants?
904.
904 grants and write all the recycling and get the money, basically get money back. Glass recycling.
That would be very cool to do glass recycling.
Now,
I
is
would
this-
say.
Glass recycling, do we get paid?
We could fill out a 904 grant.
No, I mean, but do we get paid from the company that's recycling the glass?
No,
No,
no, this is all run through Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Pennsylvania Research Council. Basically what's happening, there are certain parts of the communities now that are not able to recycle glass. I'm not sure, is Verona?
No.
No, Verona and Oakmont, I know for sure are not able to recycle glass. So they're looking for ways,
It's basically when your recycling contract comes up is when you can't do glass anymore.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know, we still, Plum still does glass, so I
Well, I
wasn't
mean,
sure
because your
yet.
contract hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, so we can still do glass, so that would be, but I'm just saying that that would be a way to help people who lost that ability to recycle glass.
If I may add a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
You probably know a little bit more than I do.
only because, I think we had looked into it a little bit earlier this year, in particular, the former Seagrave committee, I met with, Ashley from DRC. So while some communities still have it with their regular recycling, it is problematic to sort it and not necessarily all the glass that's in there ends up where it's supposed to. Furthermore, I think we don't get as much of anything back by weight through the 904 as we would if we're doing this type of program. So Oakmont currently still does have glass recycling in their contract with County Hauling. However, they only have it 2 times a year, 3 times a year.
3 times a year to put it done at Third
Yeah,
Street line
that's an event.
or Second Street line.
It's an event, which many people participate in, but many people don't because they just can't store glass for several months and
Right.
then carry the heavy glass themselves, to the bins during these events. This is why Oakmont's interested, and of course, we're interested for this mentioned, you're currently happy to participate. So I think this is great. We certainly have a lot of glass, between our wonderful establishments, and I think the plaza near the food beer distributor would be ideal if they're amenable to it, but I know they were looking into other locations.
They're looking there, they're looking at our Verona Borough building and then at the end of Ann Street. Because
All right,
it-
but
it
we don't
depends.
put any more things like that by our borough building. We have enough.
Yeah, the only benefit is on the bars.
Has anyone had any discussion like down by Daly's?
That is not our decision to make. This is all about PRC.
PRC makes.
Yeah, and you have to have somewhere where it's openly accessible to the public.
That's
And I don't think Dailies would be real thrilled about us.
They got too much traffic down there, make
Okay.
them tractor trailers.
Is the 2,500 in the budget already?
Yes, it is.
Oh, great. Okay.
I placed it in the budget, but I still want everybody to read the memorandum. I want people to understand what is being said. That's why I brought it to your attention today.
Do you want to explain anything about the Dormont relationship?
You can probably explain that better than I can, but I will try. PRC started this, Pennsylvania Resource Council actually started this with Dormont. Dormont put one in at the shopping plaza. In their borough, and it did really, really well. Dormont decided that they wanted to see if they could partner with other communities that maybe don't have glass recycling and what else they could do. So the partnership would actually be through with 3 boroughs, with Dormont being the head borough. So that's kind of how it all came about. I will say, I know that, like I said, it's $5,000 for the first year. That's split in half, so it's 2,500 initial cost.
Split in half with Oakmont.
Yeah,
What
we would
about-
be splitting in
What
half with
about
Oakmont.
Dormont?
No, we would only be splitting with Oakmont. Dormont is already up and running. They would be more of like the lead. The ones who tell us how it all works. Dormont has already started.
Okay.
So they'd have a dumpster there and then there would hopefully be one here.
There would be one in
Okay.
Dormont, then there would be one in this area.
And we would be tied to a contract.
We would, yeah, there's a memorandum of understanding
I
for
seen it.
5
yeah.
years. Yes.
I thought it said 2 years.
And how often would they come and collect it, the glass?
When it's full, they'd be out once or twice a month.
There's a camera that, we'll see.
Okay, good, because we've had problems with
Right.
things spilling over in our parking lot over there, and it looks horrible.
Stipulation.
It says
Yeah.
here,
But I wanted you guys to look at it and check it out before I, you know,
it says it here 2 years.
is it 2 years?
2 years.
It's 5,000 for the first year and 2,500 for the next.
Which is
year.
split in half. Again,
Right.
everything is split in half.
Right, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it says it's a 2-year term.
So you go back to the next page, duration,
Here.
5 years.
This one.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe I was reading the money part of this. You're right. Yeah. Maybe stipulation.
Right.
So there's a 902 grant that would all come involved and that would essentially, the plan would be that would pay for it.
902 or 904?
It's called a 902. grant.
Oh,
Dormont has the 902 grant
Yeah.
to support the collaborative collection. network.
okay.
So we're somewhat like under their umbrella, but we still get the benefits of the 904 kickback. shared with the-
As long as it gets weighed somehow.
Yeah,
they will-
they will waive it. It already says, it says in the. written.
Cool, okay.
But my suggestion would be, I brought this to your attention, I would, read it over. And, any questions,
So then we could vote on it next meeting.
if there's interest, we could vote on it next.
Okay,
It sounds like there's interest.
Yes.
yes, definitely.
Okay, great. That's wonderful.
I don't know the details, but yeah.
If they take care of finding a place and doing, we don't have to do really nothing.
No,
We just have to pay.
yeah,
Just make sure when you do, if you are interested in this, that, the borough is not cause I went through this with the aluminum cans with Boy Scouts. People are very ignorant. They throw garbage in with the aluminum cans. And, the recycling places would not take it. We had to literally go through it by hand. And, yeah, and if that happens, we're in big trouble because there ain't nobody gonna go through glass bottles. I mean, they literally they still do throw
Oh, yeah.
garbage in it.
and I will check with that. I mean, I didn't hear the Dormont manager say anything about going through, but he had to do that, so I'm assuming they must deal with
I'm
that.
just,
But
putting
we
it
will
out there.
check, yeah, we will definitely check.
One other concern I have is who's would be in charge of maintaining the area? Because if you have all that glass,
PRC,
they would clean up broken
Yeah.
glass around it and
they
everything?
have to do that would be all.
Okay.
The people who pick up the can't, they have all these containers and all that stuff, that would all be picked up by them.
Yeah, but what about the intermittent? Like someone brings glass to throw it in and they drop it.
That would be up to, I mean, if it was at the borough building, that would, I guess, would be up to us, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna be at the borough building.
I hope not.
We can get some clarification.
We
If
get
it's in the shopping
clarification on
center,
that, it's
that'd be-
in
shopping
shopping
center.
centers.
It wouldn't be
Yeah, but I
better,
can't
yeah.
imagine them want
They
to
would-
do that for free.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not sure, we do
Okay.
not scout the sites,
Well, I understand that.
and we don't, so we don't ask that,
So we have absolutely no input where they end up putting this thing.
I mean,
we
can
have
make
some,
suggestions.
but not, I mean, we can't,
They make the decision.
they make the decision. And they, it's like Dormont, it's at a shopping center.
Did you have another suggestion for a site?
No, I really, this is the first time seeing this. I haven't had time to think, but I just know that we have the fire donation things, the newspaper donation things, the aluminum can donation things, and I don't want a glass donation thing there as well. I mean,
They're,
signs are one thing that make us look crappy, but garbage that overflows from these containers looks terrible.
Yeah, I
And
don't,
I just don't want more.
I think at this point, I think they're pushing for one site. And it's not the site, it's not the building, so I wouldn't
Okay.
worry about it.
Thanks.
And we'll talk when we get there.
Very good.
Thank you,
Anything
Steph.
else?
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the welcome sign lighting.
I talked with AJ, it does have electricity. Now we have to figure out, the first light we thought about putting in. If you spot it, so it kind of comes up this way. The people coming the opposite way are gonna be blinded.
Yeah.
So we have to discuss so AJ needs to figure out exactly what kind of light we're looking for. Is there anything in particular anybody is looking for, or do you just want it to be lit?
They just want to lit.
Okay, I will see what I can find.
What if we got some, wonder if he can get something that like would sit on top of it
That's what I'm gonna
I was
ask
just
him.
gonna say,
know,
not
like-
lighting, not
and just like have a shield on it. That just
Just like,
looks down, you can see it that way.
Yeah, because the way he took it was they wanted a spotlight and he said, no, it would,
You don't want to cause an issue either.
yeah,
it's the borough's decision, not.
yeah,
you
but he
know,
was,
that-
yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not talking about AG. I thought you were talking about the Rotary. that
Oh,
they-
no, I don't think it was Rotary who wanted the light.
No,
Well, that was in the agreement to light them.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Chamber brought it up at the last Chamber meeting that it was on the original,
Right.
when Chamber donated the money to the Rotary,
Light.
it was on lighting and aluminum poles are on the original.
Right.
So they,
Donation request. They're kind of wondering why they donated money and didn't get what was advertised.
The
if
light-
I'm mistaken, the aluminum poles, didn't we, as a councils, decide the price was way too high for the aluminum poles?
The chamber paid for aluminum poles, in that bid, then they put wooden poles in.
I believe the Rotary decided it was too
Rotary
expensive to go with. aluminum
that,
poles.
they have to talk to Rotary.
Yeah,
They can't, yeah, that's.
But I'm questioning if the original bid included lighting, why are we paying for it?
I don't think it did.
I know it, I don't remember seeing light. I'll have to check.
I don't remember seeing lighting on there. to be
I don't
honest.
think it was. I think
Okay.
it was just alluded
Suggested.
that we could,
Right.
we could upgrade the lighting.
We just-
Yeah.
Sometimes things get twisted.
Okay, that's,
And I'm thinking, to be honest with you, there's already electricity down there. We're literally at this point talking a light.
Well, we had a light facing the old sign,
Yeah,
but the weather, destroyed it, the snow removal and salt and
Yeah, so-
everything.
that's all they're wanting is
which
to
is
replace that
down
light.
lighting.
Yeah.
With that.
I think it's more of a replacement issue.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Very good, thank you. The next up is Cribbsfield picnic table replacement.
I was asked about this. We spoke, invoices have been sent out to two people, for the amount of $290. They were sent in October. So we have to wait for payment from them.
From who?
From the kids' families that
Destroyed.
destroyed it.
If they refuse to pay it, then we would have to file charges on those kids, which I don't want to. Because I guess they were willing to, do restitution to parents.
They're willing to do restitution, then do restitution.
Exactly.
Right,
And the,
But if not, then we have to file charges
Yeah.
against the kids.
well, then maybe we can call the families and say, hey, listen. I mean, it might be a little work on, like Stephanie or someone to call the police, to call and say, hey, listen, we gave you the opportunity to pay this up. You're gonna pay it or we're gonna file charges?
So do we,
I mean, how long do we go
well,
with this?
that's my
well,
next
just
question.
please, the invoices, because it took some time with everything to get everything done. The invoices have only been out 30 days.
Okay,
So
right.
let's give them a little bit of time before, and it's only going, there were three. They only were able to identify two, so they did not split the money in
Three
half.
ways.
They split it it's gotta be split 3 ways. So third way, there's, he's not been identified.
I mean, I don't understand that.
And
That
it-
I
shouldn't
know
be
there were
cut half.
3 people, but if you can't identify the third people,
Because you cannot,
the other 2 people are responsible for the damage.
well,
Yeah. if-
Fortunately.
if- How do we know it was 3 people?
there's video.
Okay, well,
And those kids.
Well,
knew
then
who
the
was
kids
third.
know who the
then the
third
kids,
kid
then the
is.
kids were there with the third party,
They,
then they have to pay 50% of
Wait,
each.
you
of them.
can, speak with the people who made the deal. I'm just the reporter
Okay.
of, the invoices have been sent.
Who made the deal?
I don't know.
Oh,
I just had to find out that the invoices had been sent.
Okay,
Thank you, Zach.
thank you.
And I'm completely happy with waiting 90 days. But after 90 days,
I think we
we
should,
have to file charges.
I think we should revisit this in January.
Yes, I agree.
so is it 290 per or 290 they're splitting?
290 per.
Okay.
So it's really,
Same
it should be $900. We're only gonna get 600.
So then the borough's still out
$300
$300 where we have
That's still not right.
to make.
Yeah.
it.
Wonder who made that decision? Dave, do you have any idea?
No,
Was this the police chief?
can we ask the chief if he's the one who made that? Maybe.
I think they're still trying to identify the third. I don't think it's, I don't think it's a matter. I think they're still trying to identify.
Well, that's my thing. If 2 have to pay a higher amount because the third won't come forward, then that adds pressures for them to identify the
Right.
third person. Like,
They know who he is.
if we're
They
like,
know who he
hey,
is.
you know what if one person only comes forward, then you only have to pay $200.
I'm all in favor of him telling these people, hey, we got
It's
another.
a $900 bill.
Yeah.
You split both.
You might,
ways.
if your kids don't come forward with the name, you might get another bill for another $150.
Yeah. I mean,
All right, now we know where it's at. Thank you.
like,
Thank you,
if-
Stephanie.
in January, would that give them 90 days?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
it would.
October,
I
November,
just wanna
November,
make sure
December.
that 90 days is
More than
enough time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, next up, contracts update. Nancy Carpenter.
Yeah, not much to say here. We've met with both DPW and police and listened to what they wanted, as compared to what was offered to them, and we're in the process with Craig's help of making those revisions on those contracts. And I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, we'll be meeting with them again with corrected versions and doing some more negotiating. So we're not done yet, but we're making progress.
I'm gonna suggest when you go back to meet with them 2 committees that we have our solicitor there.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
are
time
darned
for
it.
that.
Well, I think,
With DPW, it sort of was dependent on the union
Well,
reps schedules.
we have to some say so and when we do it too.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ray, like, if.
They
if
brought their
DPW
union
is gonna
people.
bring their union rep, then
That's
we
right.
should have our lawyer.
Okay, then maybe we should include Craig in all emails having to do with scheduling.
I will be talking with Craig because we have to get the contract out.
I talked to Stephanie earlier today about it and she agreed, so
Yeah, well,
she's gonna set something.
I'll set it all up.
Okay, that's good. Start doing that.
All right,
But we have to set, I mean, the
We'll
rest
get
of
it.
us have schedules too.
I understand that. we
We're gonna work, yeah.
Okay.
we all gotta give. We all gotta give a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna fall perfect for everybody to,
And I
if-
think, if we give the union rep dates, he'll be more than happy to work with us. I
Okay.
don't think he meant that he had to meet in the morning. That was,
That was more of a last minute thing.
yes, and we're not doing that this time.
Okay,
All right,
that's all I have about that.
okay, the next would be the budget presentation from Stephanie.
You have,
We went line item by line item last time.
What are you doing? I ain't gonna be here then.
You don't want to do that
Nope.
again?
I think
Aw.
Stephanie, at this point, if we go over what you found in the last week,
That sounds great.
but I'll give you this presentation and then, You can't get it to go up now? Well, I will start, and we'll go from here. In front of you, and I apologize, with the holidays, we did not formally finish, with the finance committee until today. So, the budget did not go up until about 4:15. I apologize, but it did go up finally. So what you have now is, a budget that goes, that also has 2022 year to dates. Where we think we're gonna end up at the end of the year. It shouldn't say year to date, it should say end of year, but sorry. Where we think we're gonna be at the end of 2022 and our draft of where we hope to be, our budget for 2023. Again, the hope is that it will, you will review it at this meeting. We will advertise the draft for the 2023 budget for adoption. And it will begin its 10-day public display period, starting December 1st, with the ability to vote on it on December 13th. Again, as I pointed out, we were able to do the year-end estimates, so you have a better idea of where we think we're gonna be at the end of 2022.
So can I ask you that third section where it says general funds YTD, that's actually estimate?
It's an estimate. I
So-
just didn't put the estimate.
Okay.
All right, I got it.
Okay. Again, just to reiterate, because to make sure everybody understands, we cannot use ARPA money for the general fund. And we are not doing the ARPA budget at this moment in time. We will be doing that to be released in the spring. And the public will be invited to review the budget at that time.
The ARPA budget.
The ARPA budget. Sewer, some budget updates, the sewer fund. I was able to get some numbers. As of 11/23/2022, the general fund owes the sewer fund $509,395. In the 2020, the
How
20,
much is that, Stephanie? I'm sorry.
509,395.
Thank you.
As was discussed in the budget meeting, the request of the council was there would be $100,000 payoff on the sewer fund. This was broken down in two ways. In the 2023 budget, there is an actual $60,000 repayment from the general fund going into the sewer fund. And then a $42,454 of expenses that will be written off towards that debt. So those are both included in this budget. Just a quick reminder, some of the things that are in this budget is a full-time code enforcement officer. Remember that $30,000 is in the administrative budget and $30,000 is in the code enforcement. One of the other items, body cameras for the police officers has been given to us in a grant. So that is no longer in the budget. And we are looking at, we budgeted for a chief, 2 sergeants, 3 part-time officers, or 1 full-time and 1 part-time. We are currently working with the chief, 2 sergeants, and 1 part-time. So,
Vince, can you advance the thing? She's on like slide number 6.
Hey, so moving too fast.
now you stopped. Keep going. So there's your wish list. The next page is just a quick overview. You can go down of your expenditures. Just kind of broken down. You can see that total of all funds combined is 2.8 million, over $2.8 million. And the budget, and then for revenues, we're looking at $2.7 million, all funds combined.
it's hard to see.
You can't, I wouldn't try reading that. It's small.
What were you saying about 2.8 million?
That's the expected expenditures of all funds combined.
Oh, this is okay.
It's right here.
It's a very,
Yeah, I know.
Bigger on
I
that.
got you.
Yeah. So, if we go down, then we have the estimated revenues at 2.7.
Leave that up.
But if you go down, the financial position of the Borough of Verona, we can look at that, that'll be a little bit more. It is estimated that the end of December 31st, 2022, we will have $380,000 in fund balance in our general fund. Again, with our estimated revenues in our general fund of 1.6 million and proposed expenditures of 1.7 million, that leaves us with an estimated fund balance of 277,000. So that's where we're at. And if you look down below, it shows you the sewer fund, and it will also show you the liquid fuels fund if you would like to see those. If you go to the fund balance, we had a discussion about this. I've done some research. State guidelines state a 5% minimum fund balance should be had. This would mean approximately $88,265 must be kept in the fund balance at the end of 2020, at the end of 2023. And even if you want, you could say at the beginning of 2023. We have currently have budgeted an estimated fund balance at the end of 2023 of $277,775, which is almost a 16% fund balance at this time. I did also make sure to add, and I will be placing this online, the capital improvement projects that are already included into the budget. The big one, a lot of people asked about the paving. The alleys to be paved are Peach between South and Center, Peach, the dead end section, the alley between Parker and North, Walnut Street and Sylvan Way. So those are the big ones right there. And if we want to go through the bigger budget, I can tell you which lines we saw a decrease and which lines we saw an increase.
Stephanie, going back to slide 9. I swear I thought you said a number of 277,000, but I don't see that one there. I see 285,000 for the general fund. No, I'm looking at the presentation.
I don't know what you're,
Slide number 9,
when did you get that, Nancy?
when we had our meeting today.
Oh,
no, it's 277.
It says 285,802.
We changed that a while ago. We'd had that discussion at the meeting.
I understand, but it's dated 11/29/22.
Again, it changed because we moved some stuff around, like we took the 60,000, we had to move some stuff around when we redid the budget.
You told us right before the meeting that you found
And I found another
$14,000.
$14,000
That's gonna
more.
change the number at the
That
bottom.
number's
I
gonna change again.
understand that, but I was just looking at the.
Yeah,
paper
that
out
one,
this morning.
that changed. That one was written last night.
Okay,
And we did some budgeting changes as our normal, because the finance committee met this morning. And we saw a few net changes.
okay, so this copy is out of date.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
If you go through the budget, the first change you will see is under 392,001. And that is the $60,000 added to the sewer fund. So I'm doing this for you guys more than that you guys can see.
You said this would be the first change we could see.
First change you can see.
Very good.
The next changes you will see will come in administrative. we were able to cut some of these costs and administrative that were a little high. We'll tell you the two biggest ones were unemployment insurance. We were able to cut down to 2,500. And natural gas was budgeted at 12,000. We cut that to 9,500. Looking, I mean, I did every which way to Sunday, can't figure out the 12,000. Altogether, that will save us an administrative costs with other small fees. And if you guys want to know those changes, I can give them to you. We decreased workers' comp insurance to 2,000. That number will actually change again.
Is that the one that's gonna be at 1,000?
Yes, it will lower. We changed, this is really hard to read when you're, it's, we changed postage and delivery to 1,500 instead of 3,000.
You're still under
Administration. We changed 401, 340 advertising to 1,500. We only used 75 last year, so thought that was generous. We changed printing to 1,500. Last year we did no printing out of house. Property 401, 351, property general liability insurance, we decreased 500. Professional, public office, public officials liability, we decreased to 7,500. From 9,000. Electricity, we actually raised 500. Natural gas, again, went from 12,000 to 9,500. Penalties and interest, because I still want to check exactly what that is. We left it, we set it at $500. That is a general savings to administration of approximately $12,535. The next changes came in under police. The first
What number are you looking at, Steph?
police, 410.
Okay.
So all the 410. The first change was 410, 185 vacation buyback. That's a contract issue. We had added an additional, we added $2,250. Unemployment, we dropped from 8,500 to 5,000. And then if you go to 410, 195. Right now, that budget says 15,000. That's actually going to drop to 5. We have actual concrete numbers for that. So that's a concrete number. So that's a $10,000 savings right there. But I didn't count, that's not in this budget. We'll have to fix the budget one more time because God forbid it would be right, one more time.
For longer than 5 minutes, right?
Well, that's in a good way, though.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a savings. Well, right now, $1,250 from the general fund. It'll work out actually to be about $11,000. The next thing is the fire 411,000. We changed the volunteer firefighters insurance from 21,000 to 18,000. That's a $3,000 decrease. We changed 411,374 was budgeted at $1,000. We increased it to $5,000 because, I bet it's really costly to have fire trucks.
Yes.
And then the contribution 411,520 actually should have been at line 411,540, and that's the foreign fire state allocation that that the firefighters get every year. So that was just a switch.
That's an in and out.
That's an in and out.
We still got to find that
We,
with the state.
I have found it.
Did you? Sweet.
So those are those changes. Are there any questions so far?
No,
Okay, next would be Public Works. There was a
what
wage,
number?
430.
Okay.
We're going to 430, 112. There was a small decrease once contract numbers went in, if they stay that way. That decreased it to 19, decreased their wages by $1,900.
So the 118,493 is the revised number.
What are you talking about?
It should be 124.
124, 729.
Oh, you're adding the two columns, okay.
Yeah, because there's sewer fund in there.
Yeah,
Got it.
sewer fund gets caught in there. Okay, workers' compensation. We actually, it was at $6,500. We brought it down to $5,000. It's actually going down to $2,000. Because again, that's a real actual number that we've received from our insurance agent.
I like it.
So there's some more savings. Last but not least was actually an addition, was 430, 375. We added to vehicle repair, we added $5,000 to the budget.
There goes our savings.
Yeah, but we got some back too,
Yeah,
so.
right.
Public Works. There really was there was no changes. The next one you'll see is 459, 580. That's where we put the glass recycling. The extra $2,500 for the glass recycling.
Yeah.
Then if you go to the last page, and you go to interfund transfers to sewer funds, you will see where the $60,000 comes out of the general fund to go into the sewer fund. That would be, it's called interfund transfers.
Last page. so-
Last page.
499,000.
It's
Right
right under
above
the total
499.
400 expenditures.
It says 60, there's the $60,000 going out of the general fund to go into the sewer fund. Do you have any questions?
I just wanted to confirm what you said, Stephanie, that many of those adjustments in our favor were due to inaccurate billing and not that we had changed all of our insurance plans or anything like that.
No. They were, I honestly, I do now know where, it took me a while, but I do know where the worker comp numbers came from.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we get a huge discount. So that's, we're reaping the benefits of, knock on wood,
Nobody's getting hurt.
yeah,
Healthy workers,
healthy workers. We're
Okay.
reaping that benefit. That's where that,
safe workers.
yeah, and we also, some of the other things we noticed there, add an extra zero or something like that, and going through what you do in July and when you look at your October year to date, and then you look now, things change a little bit.
Great.
So do you have the revised end numbers?
No, because I literally got the workers' comp numbers and I've only had like an hour to sit with them, so I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
I can tell you that it should take our 102, 350 in the red down to like, I think about 88,000. Give or take. Don't quote me, but give or take.
That sounds about right. This is about 12.
Yeah.
12, 13.
14, yeah. 102.
And that will raise that 277 up to approximately like 291, 292.
We could always change that percentage too.
That percentage will go up. That percentage will go from 15.6%, almost 16%,
Mhm.
probably to about 17, 18.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if we need to do something
Yeah.
with that, we could lower that, how much we want in there for the
Yeah.
the fund balance at the end of the year.
Right, so right now, though, we're looking
But if
at,
you remember, last year, what was our fund balance? It was a negative 6,000,
Yeah,
6,700.
and I mean, you should be
Progress.
extraordinarily proud of yourselves. I mean, you're looking at ending the year, you know, in the black, $380, $380,000. Really? No, I'm taking the other $380,000.
Is it the finance committee's recommendation, to have a fund balance of, what did we just say, 17%? Or is there another recommendation, like 10%, and then we have to decide on the 7%? Sure.
I don't understand your question.
Are you proposing a minimum fund balance of 17% as mentioned, or are we proposing something else such as 10%, in which case we still need to decide how we'll spend that extra on top of the 10%?
I got you.
We didn't have that discussion today in our meeting. So I think there are more revisions other than, well, I guess what you just said.
My suggestion at this point, that you still have trees that need to be cut
Yeah,
down.
yeah, there's nothing in here for
Trees that need to
the
be cut
tree,
down?
the tree work that we.
Yeah.
talked about.
Saying, yeah, there's a lot of, we should talk about,
There's no estimate yet, so.
3 months.
Tree work, you know, tree work on Ridge, the tree work up in Cribs.
We were all over. the borough.
Crips?
Yeah, there's the 3 big trees
There's
on
Cribs.
Mascot one. They need to be taken down. They're actually blocking the field lighting.
Look, the trees
Field
along
lighting
south.
All the time and that for 8 years we've been getting up there.
So you're identifying
Trucks on bridge.
one of
Yeah.
your committee's priorities that was not currently addressed in the budget.
Correct.
There's no estimate number.
And do we know when we'll get those numbers?
My suggestion would be, if you guys decide you want to change the fund balance, we can put an estimate in for the trees, or put a budget in for the trees.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up trees. Are there any other priorities that have been identified by any committees that is not currently in the budget as it stands?
I'm sure we're.
And also,
Are they-
Yeah, that's part of what we want to do.
I think we were calling
part,
it,
but that's part of the trees that we're talking about.
yeah, I think we're calling it like a comprehensive
Tree evaluation.
tree evaluation throughout the borough. So that would encompass those things.
I want to meet with the people from the Shade Commission, maybe talk to an arborist. And take some pictures and talk to an arborist and see what needs done. And that kind of stuff.
So, I just want to point out that having the budget, forgetting about the fund balances for a minute, the budget is coming out, whether it's -100, -88, we're operating this year estimated at a deficit. And that's important to make note of when we're deciding about this budget. And I know we discussed it a little bit last week, it was just last week, about, you know, whether to raise taxes and wanting to wait. And, you know, when I was looking at these figures earlier today, before it changed to 88, you know, it looked, to me, it's like in my mind, about $100,000. Which, if you recall the discussion a year ago, the proposal from Christine was to raise taxes 3 mil. 1 mil equaling approximately $100,000. And we compromised and we only raised taxes 1.9, which is approximately 2. And so there's our other needs that we didn't collect. That's a very simplified view of it. If we indeed end up with a fund balance this high, which is still boggling my mind, how we go from 6,200 to 380,000, but I know where there's many places that we made a lot of savings. Having to do with the body cameras and a typo that we saw, and we took out having 2 full-time police and just had 1 full-time. That's like $130,000 right there. So I understand that that could be contributing to it. I just want, and we need to wait until December 31st, so into January to see what our actual, in the audit, to see what our actual fund balance is gonna be. If that's truly what it is, and I know you feel pretty confident, Stephanie, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I'm not quite sure how we did that. But I do think that we want to make note of the fact that the budget in and of itself is running at a deficit of $88,000. And we can't sustain that kind of budgeting, in the future. I can see doing it once. But then, we have to think for next year, what's happening. So I wasn't really focusing on a concrete fund balance. I think we could consider a minimum fund balance, and if it's greater than that, then it's greater than that. And it just is what it is. I'm not sure that we have to say, what are we gonna spend it on? It's just there. This is, honestly, guys, I am not the expert accountant type person. This would be like, us going into an operating room and me saying, okay, go do an open heart surgery, have fun. I couldn't do an open heart surgery, but I've been around a heart once or twice in an operating situation. So I am a fish out of water. I am learning as fast as I possibly can, but I have a concern that we have a budget that's in a deficit, and I don't want us next year to continue to run in a deficit, because we'll just eat up our fund balance and we won't have what we need to function. And we want to be careful to have enough if there's an emergency like a Second Street sinkhole. So I just wanted to share that concern with everyone about this, and but I think all in all, I know you've worked really, really, really hard on this, Stephanie. It's amazing what you're able to do in a month. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, I definitely want to commend Stephanie too on having 4 weeks to prepare an entire year's worth of research and accounting and
3, I think.
adjusting, three,
She
4.
started Halloween, November 31st. It's not November 31st yet.
No, but it's 4 weeks.
It'll never be
If
done.
you count by the month.
Exactly. Maybe it's some other alternate universe.
Yeah,
So no, I mean, it's not, it hasn't even been 30.
yeah.
I know what you mean.
But I also, I do want to acknowledge the finance committee and Nancy's role as well. For anyone who doesn't realize, we have an entirely new finance committee. Every single one of them is also seeing the budget.
Hi, newbies, all of
Yes.
us, we're the newbie committee. Oh my God.
It was quite a Herculean effort on all of your parts and all of our parts, but really, you four have spearheaded that. So thank you for being able to shepherd us through to what is, as Nancy also alluded to, at present, amazing. With the reality that eventually we will have to look at taxes to address, but right now we should stand proud that we're able to achieve so many of the identified priorities without having to raise taxes in this exact moment, so.
I think that we need to take 2023 to come up with alternate strategies on raising money for the town other than raising taxes.
That would be great.
Now, my question is, because we have to get this, are we making any major changes or just the workers' comp changes?
Just the workers' comp changes. I'm okay with it, just the way it is. Other than it workers' comp changes that you just got.
I'm good with that too. You gotta get this advertised.
Do we need a motion for that? or-
I also want to commend Stephanie and the finance committee for their extra meetings and extra time and, all they have done to get this where it's at. We're not going to please everybody naturally. But I think we're in a better spot than we were last year at this time. And it's commendable to previous committee, previous council, where we are today, because there was a lot of things last year that was brought up and found and, you know, I just want to commend everybody on the hard work to get where I think's a pretty good budget without having to raise taxes this year and go from there. So I guess at this time, I'd like to have a motion to advertise the budget
I'll make that.
on January or December 1st for 22 for 10 days.
With the changes.
With the changes that Stephanie's gonna make on them, the workman's comp and stuff, the numbers change.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
First by Red, second by Tim. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Against? Passed. Well, thank you again. Very good job. Hopefully it works out the way we want it to. The next thing up is information and announcements. Number one, the Verona Administrative Offices will be closed on Monday, December 26th, 2022, and Monday, January 2, 2023, in observance for Christmas and the New Year's Day federal holidays. Next, we have comments from the public. Comments from public on anything at this point in time. Come to the podium, raise your hand, state your name. Try to keep it within 3 minutes, please.
And address, name and address.
Name and address.
I want to hand these out, it's just some of my input on the budget. My name is Mike Rabacki, 716 Allegheny River Boulevard, 3rd floor. This is just something that is in principle, what I'm handing out right now. It's like principle, what I like to see of a government, like what's happening financially. So this is a summation page, just to give an idea of what's actually happening with our total liquid assets and liquid liabilities. And I've seen some other budgets before from other governments and things, and sometimes they put some accompanying sheets together to show what the budget is, but I know I have some of the details wrong. Some of these numbers I almost made up, some of them I just put together, but I got to the point where I put several hours into it. And so it's just an outline, a basic outline, and everything else can be populated. You know, I spend more time at it, but so I have it broken down to the assets and the liabilities. So when I'm looking under I call it the treasury, like our treasury, I'm looking at the revenue of the borough, 2.4 million, and that the sewer would be a breakout of that. So that's included in the 2.4. So I'm looking at the total revenue that's generated from our borough. And then I'm looking at the external revenue, things that people pay taxes to the federal government, to the state government, that comes to us as an external revenue. And well, one of them is the federal highway funds and others pension. And then just scratch out sewer account because I had that listed twice. So donations. What I have there is like, say we get a $75,000 grant under donation. I'm looking at hidden expenses. When we get a grant, I'm looking at putting 25% into an account, because if we get grant money to build a building, a sidewalk or something, that needs to be maintained. And if that's not in the grant, it's got to come out of our budget somehow. So if we take it out of the top and put it into an account, then we can maintenance these things that are purchased with grant money all along. So it's just not hitting us out of our general fund. So that's the 75% minus 25% goes into an account. So line 5, that would go into line 7. 7 would be all the grant money where the 25% is taking out, and that would be like a current balance sheet for that 25% taken out to maintain the things that grants have built. The donation grants on line number 6, that's a pass-through column, but it just kind of lists some of the grants that we'll be getting minus the 25%. 28,000 is the sewer. Now, if we had a pension account, I'm not sure if we do, but if we did, and we're paying pensions, it's like, what's in that account? I mean, We're not paying any pensions yet to anybody? Nothing? Nobody retired?
Mike, I'm gonna interrupt you here real quick. I'm a little lost as to what you're trying to show us here. We have our graph and our grant, our budget proposal here. I'm kind of lost as to what you're. These aren't not our numbers.
Some of them are kind of close.
They're kind of well, but that we don't know what you're getting at, Mike.
It sounds like you're saying. we
The,
need
the
to-
basic is the principle, not necessarily the numbers. I'm looking at the total. When I'm looking at this, bro, I'm looking at, okay, where is it listed where our total liquid assets are and our
It's all
total
here.
liquid liabilities?
It's all in here. It's in our bank accounts. It's in our budget. It's in our financials we do every month.
Well, I mean, do we have a pension account?
Our pensions. all
Or
go
like, what
through-
would we owe in pensions?
Everything
for the
goes through
next-
goes through the states, up through the state.
We don't maintain.
State
our
pensions.
We don't maintain our pensions.
So, okay, so that would be, so we don't pay anything out of our pensions to people once they retire.
We don't, that they're all state pensions.
Okay,
We all are state employed.
well, we can scratch that one out.
And the grant, and like the donations with the grants, you have to spend an entire grant. You're not allowed to put any money back.
25%.
I know. I'm just putting that out there that's something that's a hidden cost that we're
Right.
paying for to maintain the things that grants have built.
That's true.
So it's kind of just like an idea, but
But that would be
It's-
future
That's the
year's
same thing.
budgets.
Yeah.
You can't take money from this year's budget and say, we're gonna keep it to pay 5 years from now.
He's saying like
maintenance.
like a preventative maintenance.
Yeah, but that's what the fund
But I
balance
mean,
is.
that's what you have done.
Or- right.
The concession stand was there before we built a new concession stand. It needed maintained, period. The maintenance costs are in the borough's budget. And that we budget for them every year. That's why there's a maintenance thing under the Parks and Recreation for the building. And it's actually quite large this year because we just built this brand new building. So
Okay.
I'm with them. I don't really know what you're talking about. I deal with numbers constantly and I really have no idea.
He's trying to make a,
all right, so. Do we have the debt, our total debt that we owe listed somewhere in our,
That would be on our balance sheet.
So on our monthly balance
the
sheet,
prince,
That
on our
we
monthly
owe.
balance sheets?
You know who?
Yeah, our
Do
monthly.
we have any loans?
We pay it for
Just
the
one.
fire truck.
fire truck.
Just one, yeah.
Well, Matt, so I don't know what that loan is. I mean, I
That's
don't
on
know,
that would be on the balance sheet under liabilities.
on the budget sheet that was.
No, it
submitted?
would be on the balance sheet. The actual loan is also on there, the payment of $54,000 to pay for this year's fire truck payment is actually on this budget.
Right, but I'm looking at the debt, what this borough's debt principal is as a liability.
Well, it depends.
So
on
not
the-
just what
yeah.
what just the payments that we're making, but actually, when I look at what's happening money wise to this boroughs, I'm looking at where does the debt figure into this,
That's-
that
that would
our
all be-
our
that's-
principal.
That's all on the balance sheet. It's all goes under assets and liabilities, and if you can look at the balance sheet and it will show you what debt the borough has and what
On the website,
it's on, yeah, we will get up. right
That's
now,
kind of
we're-
separate from the budget.
but.
Yes, we don't, it does, because of the way a balance, that's how, you don't, but you budget for a year, but a balance sheet accrues over time.
Okay, so what I'm kind of looking for is a budget that's also has an attachment to it with that balance sheet that will show me. You know, what our total, again, the total liquid assets are for this borough and the total liquid liability. So if it was an attachment to the budget, I could see everything right there, so.
Because you don't, but this is a budget, this is what we expect for 2023. In December, well, actually in January, you'll get a year, it will have a year-end balance sheet and an audit that will show all of that occurs. I can't budget a balance sheet,
Right,
but you can look, I mean, I know right now that the web page is not up to date, but we will fix that And it has financials right now up to July, but we'll get, August, September, October's up there.
Okay.
That will show the balance sheet and everything that's on there.
Is there some way though to, for in the future to kind of put it together in one place?
Every month
Just-
we get a balance sheet and how much we owe.
At the business.
It's a
meeting
business meeting
That she
Okay.
presents.
But this is budget, which is strictly dealing with
Next
twenty
year.
twenty-three's revenues and expenses. It has not, it doesn't have anything to do with debt.
And they're not concrete, so whatever.
Right, got it, okay. Well,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
can look, yeah, I mean, you can see the balance sheets, you can also see the audit, there's every piece of financial information on the borough is on the finance tab. There's an
Okay.
audit for 21, 20,
19, 18.
yeah, and then all of the financial statements are also on there.
Okay, all right, thanks.
That would be your best bet, because I know what you're looking for, but that's your best bet of where to find it,
All right, thank you.
because it would not be in a budget.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else?
Yeah, you got two.
We have two.
Dave
up there.
Matlin has his hand up.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, Dave.
Hi, hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, Dave Matlin, 722 Bruneau Street. Just as far as the revised budget document, I just wanted to thank Stephanie for posting that today on a short holiday week. I know there were a lot of updates from last week's meeting, including the 2022 year-end projections, which I think are very helpful for all of us, for council, public, in seeing and evaluating the rest of the budget numbers. So I understand the time constraints. I just want to thank Stephanie for your efforts on this. I had a question on the sewer rates, and I don't need an answer right now. I just want to point this out for further verification. But the budget document is showing revenues of, I think, $996,302 in sewer fees budgeted for 2022. Or sorry, that was budgeted for 2023. The budget for that value for 2022 was 860,000, which was about a 16% increase from this year. And I know the Alcoasand increase is that they're passing on to the borough, that the borough is passing on to sewer customers is 7%. And that's for 2023. And I think they're going to keep doing it for a few years. So I just wasn't sure if there's something missing or I'm missing or how that. Yep.
Sorry, that number actually was what, that $700,000 number, that's sitting right there right now, Dave, is what we had a guarantee to Alcoasand that we would have in our account. I am sure that amount is going to be higher. But that was what Alcoasand wanted to see as our budgets, that we could ensure that we had 120% of what they felt our bills would cost.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah,
sure
again,
yeah,
okay. No, I just, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure, that I wasn't missing something like that. So I appreciate that.
I'm sure it's gonna be different.
And then just regarding the general fund, the budget deficit, just to be clear, the comments I'm making on this are directed to the 7 council members rather than Stephanie, since it's the council members who vote on the final budget. So the budget document last week was showing a negative $51,000 deficit in the general fund. The revision today shows a negative 102 deficit. Maybe it sounds like there's a few tweaks to that, but a big chunk of that I know is the transfer of 60,000 to the sewer fund, which I'm really glad to see. I hope that continues to help pay back the 500 some odd thousand that's owed to the sewer fund. But I'm also not seeing any adjustments to offset that deficit. I'm seeing virtually no discussion by council on how to close this gap, either by cutting expenditures or raising revenue. It just seems like council's okay with eating into the fund balance to cover that. But the fund balance is really the only safety net the borough has for emergencies and unexpected budget shortfalls, or basically anything that comes up that's unexpected. And I know there was some discussion, Stephanie brought up a minimum fund balance, policy, and I don't think council, fully decided on that, but the state guidelines of 88,000 seem pretty low to me, because that wouldn't have even been enough to cover an emergency like the sinkhole on Second Street that I think someone mentioned in earlier discussion. So regardless of what fund balance level you come to, and maybe it's 200,000 or even 300, and maybe you're still projecting to meet that at the end of next year. I think anyone on council or in the public who proclaims to be, fiscally responsible or fiscally conservative should not find a negative $100,000 deficit to be morally acceptable. You're patting yourselves in the back for not raising taxes, but you're doing it at the expense of the borough's future financial stability. Basically, you're spending more money than you're taking in, and this just isn't sustainable over the long run. The reason I'm mentioning this is you're going to have a harder time balancing the budget in future years, not to mention the fact that there are a lot of needed projects that aren't being done in 2023. Things like the road paving, we didn't pave any roads in 2022, and for 2023, there's a few small alleys slated to be paved, but the roads are only getting worse. And I know Matt Pitch, the borough engineer, estimated about $100,000 annually just to keep up with a state of good repair. There's nothing in the 2023 budget for a comprehensive plan or an active transportation plan implementation. I know there was a lot of hard work that went into that this past year, but I understand you can't do it all. But the more you push off and the longer you kick the can down the road, the more difficult the financial position becomes. So those are just a few things. I know there's other capital improvements that may be needed. I just really think the council should look at ways to close this deficit and maintain the fund balance that's been built up through the hard work of staff and council members over the last couple of years, and not piss it away with $100,000 deficit for 2023. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
We have G Bell's iPad. I have no idea who that is.
Andy or Gus?
Okay.
Hi, Sandy Drabicki Bell, 619 Third Avenue. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Just a couple questions, basically about the deteriorated alley, Peach Alley specifically. I was wondering why the two dead end parts of the alley are getting repaired where there's no through traffic. But the segment that has been a topic of discussion since at least 2012 is between South Avenue and Church is being neglected again.
I think Stephanie has the streets wrong.
That means I can tell you exactly, I have that project right here. I have the projects right here, that what.
The alley, I think the 700 block of Peach is getting done, or the 600 block.
Yeah, I think it's between South and Church, not between South.
Okay, because the slot,
Is a dead end.
the slide said between South and Center and the dead end section, which would be the 500 block. The 600 block was not listed there.
I think there's a typo on this because I believe Matt put in for the 600 block.
The alley includes, and I may have put a typo in, the alleys included Peach between South and Center. Yeah, she's saying.
That's the 700 block.
That's a dead end.
Peach, and then it's a dead end section, the alley between Parker and North Walnut Street and Sylvan Way. I can ask Matt exactly. I'm just reading off of Matt's paper, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have something wrong.
I
So
believe Matt put in for the 600 block of Peach.
I will check with Matt.
And is the 600 block of Peach between South and Church?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I will email Matt that is a grant that's already been approved, so I will check with him and get the updated information out.
Okay, my other question is in regard to the storage of the flower pots for the garden club. When Sherry Kai donated the stages to Verona to be used for whatever purposes. There was a big issue about them being stored in the borough garage and occupying space that the taxpayers are paying for. So what's the difference between the storage of those stages that were up against the wall and practically out of the way to the storage of planters? And I'm not sure how many planters, you didn't discuss that, how many planters there are that's gonna be in the borough garage. Are they gonna be out of the way like the stages were?
They're gonna
believe
be in
they're
the
gonna-
chamber, they're gonna be in a chamber room.
I think they're actually gonna be on top of the chamber.
They're gonna be in the chamber room.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy.
And I think there's 20.
24 of them. Anybody else?
I have no virtual hands
No
raised.
virtual hands? Nobody from the audience?
There was a time comment.
At this point, I'd like to take a motion for adjournment. Motion by Tim, second by Red. All in favor?
All right.
I mean, any questions? I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Thank you, everybody.
It's like,
And thank you, everybody, for your comments.
It starts to shake.
it's like, dude.